Chronicler's Note. These last few weeks have been quite bustling in the capital. First, an uprising from goblins hidden in the sewers, then all the paperwork that followed, and finally, just as I was about to finally put quill to paper, I was struck with the flu. Ugh, how horrible! Now, though, I have finally been able to transcribe my lady's letters into this chronicle. Luckily, not much mail has come of late, although I do worry about what kind of trouble my lady has gotten herself into to cause the delay. I have also received a letter from Valorit, but I am as unsure if those should remain private or if they too should be recorded as well. Meta note. These summaries are produced using the assistance of AI from Roll20 chat logs and are meant to share and keep a record of an ongoing campaign.
Sleep came uneasily to those who walked the shallow abyss, and when it came, it did so like a thief. Sudden, heavy, and full of dreams best left unremembered. Harmony was the first to stir. At first, she thought herself trapped within one of those dreams. A soundless scream, a sudden tearing pain, and the metallic tang of her own blood. Then her eyes opened to the sight of a bolt jutting from her shoulder. The world snapped into clarity. Her cry woke the camp. Shadows scattered as firelight flared, and the sleeping forms of her companions jerked upright amid chaos. The goblins had come for them in the night, crawling through the mist and ruin like carrion crows. 3 of them, small, quick, and cruel, darted through the clearing with crude crossbows and jagged knives. Harmony yanked the bolt free with a hiss and raised her rapier with trembling hands. "Attack!" she shouted, though her voice cracked halfway through the word. Amalia was already moving, blades gleaming. Barden's sword flashed as he bellowed a curse that shook the trees. Adrian, always the reluctant soldier, rose with weary grace, muttering about,
"The morning's getting shorter."
Brian's oak golem, Alice, surged forward like a siege engine come alive, her fists swinging with uncanny precision. The air filled with the harsh rhythm of battle. Blades meeting bone, spells ringing out like cracked bells, and Harmony's prayer cutting through it all. Within moments, 2 goblins lay broken on the earth. The third, wide-eyed and trembling, tried to reload his weapon, but found himself surrounded by steel and wrath. Harmony, shaking and pale, pressed the tip of her rapier to his throat. What followed was not so much an interrogation as a lesson in absurdity. Harmony, ever the optimist, attempted to play the role of fearsome warrior, lowering her voice in a parody of Brenna's growl. It fooled no one. Not her companions, not even the goblin, who blinked at her in terrified confusion. "Where is your camp?" she demanded. "How many are in your company? And do you have coffee?" The goblin tilted his head, caught somewhere between fear and linguistic breakdown. When pressed, he began to count on his fingers, then his toes. Then, running out of digits, he declared triumphantly that there were 1, 2, many. Barden sighed. Brian groaned. Brenna rubbed at her temples as though the stupidity itself might be contagious. Harmony, however, persisted. She ordered Brian to translate and threatened to let the winged one eat their prisoner if he refused to answer. Brenna, half awake, blinked and muttered,
"Who's making breakfast?"
The goblin, desperate to please, confessed that he was part of a scouting detachment sent to prepare defenses for a larger army. A main force that would soon arrive to feast on many Hume corpses. He said it with the proud enthusiasm of someone who had memorized the line but not the meaning. Before Harmony could press further, Brenna stepped forward. Her blade flashed once. The goblin's words ended mid-syllable. The silence afterward was colder than the abyss itself. Harmony stared down at the headless body, blood steaming against the chill air. Brenna wiped her sword clean.
"He might have told them more,"
she answered.
"We're deep in their territory. If he screamed the wrong word, the whole army would fall on us before dawn."
Stryker said nothing, but her gloved hand tightened around her weapon. Even beneath her mask, the quiet disapproval was clear. Adrian exhaled heavily.
"Well, that's one less witness,"
he muttered. And so it was decided. not by vote, but by the weary acceptance of those who understood survival. Harmony offered a short, silent prayer for the fallen enemy, her faith unbroken but newly tested. Then, with the first light of false dawn creeping across the ruins, the Merry Misfits gathered their things and marched toward the looming fortress that awaited them. The shallow abyss gave way to stone and silence. The castle before them, once a proud bulwark, now stood hollow, its walls pitted and its towers cracked. The gates hung open, rusted hinges whispering with every passing gust. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the faint smell of oil and blood. No enemies met them. No traps sprang from the floor. The fortress had the uneasy stillness of a beast pretending to sleep. It was Barden who spotted the armory first, a small building to the side of the main hall, its heavy iron door still intact.
If this place was a staging ground,
He said.
then the armory will tell us how well they were supplied.
Naturally, the door was locked. Harmony volunteered to solve that problem. Her first kick rattled the hinges. Her second cracked the frame. By the third, the door gave way with a deafening crash, and Harmony, triumphant, bruised and nursing her sore leg, announced,
There may be coffee inside.
The others followed, less enthused. Within the darkened chamber, they found more than they bargained for. 4 suspended Magitech constructs hanging from the ceiling like metal marionettes, silent but menacing. Runes glowed faintly across their armor plates, suggesting dormant power. Stryker stiffened immediately.
These are not barbarous make.
She warned. Adrian leaned closer, fascinated.
Old Imperial design, maybe. Modified.
Brenna hissed.
Magitech again. Can't we go one day without cursed machines?
The group debated their next move. Activate or avoid. Reason prevailed, and they chose to search instead. In the rubble, they uncovered a cache. 1 long rifle, a handful of bullets, 3 Mako stones, and, half buried under debris, a single boot protruding from the wreckage. The foot belonged to a man, or something very close to one. His skin was pale blue, his robes dark, his eyes the color of deep water. Bound, gagged, and half buried, he looked less like a prisoner and more like something the fortress itself had spat out. Once freed, he introduced himself with theatrical flourish as Gecko Moriarty.
Gravedigger, scholar, and part-time priest.
His grin was all teeth. He spoke in riddles, referred to the Misfits as blessed allies, and made passing references to the Lady of Shadows. Every word carried a faint echo of mockery, or perhaps madness. Harmony took an involuntary step back. Brenna's hand went to her sword. Stryker, mask angled toward him, asked simply,
Who buried you?
Gecko smiled wider.
I'd love to tell you, but I'm still getting the dirt out of my ears.
Despite every instinct screaming otherwise, the group let him live. He flashed a guild tag, genuine, though none were sure how, and offered his service as payment for his rescue. The decision was practical, not trusting.
Have a striker kick ready.
Harmony whispered to Stryker.
Or a striker punch.
Amalia added just as quietly. Together, they pressed deeper into the castle. Gecko walked among them like a shadow given voice. Too quiet, too smiling. Yet when he raised his hands and whispered a spell, the air shimmered with magic. Their blades glowed faintly, strength humming through steel.
Consider this a blessing.
He said, voice silky.
A bit of borrowed zeal.
Moments later, he produced a pouch of dead insects, muttered a chant, and offered each companion a cockroach. Consume, he urged.
It sharpens courage and blunts fear.
Amalia pulled the child closer. Harmony stared, appalled. Adrian nearly dropped his weapon. Even Brenna looked uneasy. No one ate the roaches. Gecko shrugged, as though their refusal merely confirmed some quiet prophecy. They moved on, the faint sound of goblin chatter echoing ahead through the corridors. Somewhere beyond the next archway lay the heart of the enemy camp, the core their late prisoner had spoken of.
Careful,
Brian whispered.
he said there could be 40.
Harmony's grip tightened on her rapier.
Or one!
She said brightly, hopefully. Brian snorted.
Or one.
Barden added,
Or 15.
The Misfits advanced together, their laughter hollow but still human, carrying them forward into the gathering dark.
Meta summary. The session oscillates between chaos and stillness, the frantic camp attack giving way to eerie silence within the ruined fortress. This pacing contrast mirrors the party's emotional rhythm, bursts of frantic energy followed by uneasy calm. The humor, especially Harmony's desperate attempt at being Brenna, softens what could otherwise be a grim slog, keeping the group's spirit recognizable even as the shadows deepen. Harmony remains the heart, her optimism the light flickering against the encroaching dark. Brenna's pragmatism grows colder, yet not cruel, her choices grounded in brutal logic rather than bloodlust. Stryker stands at a crossroads, warrior faith colliding with the compromises of survival. Adrian's fatigue adds gravity to every exchange, a man who's seen too much and expects worse. The humor is also a coping mechanism, the laughter that fills the space where fear would go. Every joke about coffee or toes counting underscores how the Misfits maintain humanity in a place designed to strip it away. Overall, the session feels like the party's halfway point between naive camaraderie and hardened resolve. The writing balances ensemble humor with creeping dread, setting the stage for larger revelations about the abyss, the barbarous army, and what kind of heroes these Misfits truly are.